Hello, and here we go again with Ryan Sundeen's podcast on October 25th, 2017. Now, let me start off with this, guys. The Los Angeles Dodgers and Houston Astros played their first game of the World Series last night, and it was a great game, a pitching duel. Dallas Keuchel played in a great game, but Clayton Kershaw decided to play a better game. There's a lot of critics in the world for Clayton Kershaw in the postseason, but the thing about it is Clayton Kershaw in the postseason in years past has always gone on short rest. And that short rest has inhibited him from playing his best ball. Where they usually need him, now they have starting pitching that is good enough. They traded for Yu Darvish right before the trade deadline, and Rich Hill has come along, and now Alex Wood, a youngster, is starting to play well too. So they have a strong four-man pitching rotation. Where Houston Astros also has a solid pitching rotation. Dallas Keuchel once again played great last night. He had a great game throwing beaters in there, barely had men on base, but when he did have a couple mistakes, the Dodgers made him pay big. The last World Series for the Dodgers was in 1988, which was a year before I was born. So in my lifetime, I've never even seen the Dodgers go to the World Series. And the thing about the Dodgers and the Dodgers fans is a lot of people think they come late and leave early. The stadium wasn't full when the game started, no. But if you look at the traffic on the 101, the 10, the 405, you'd understand why some of the people were late. You would never understand the traffic in LA if you're not from LA. It is straight parking lot traffic in the middle of the day, so let's not get on the fans for not being there. Because when the Dodgers did have their fans there, it was an electric atmosphere. But let's start with some stats. Last night, for the first game of the World Series, the record was 103 degrees on the first pitch, and that is easily the highest a game has ever been during the first pitch. Yes, it's hot, but the Houston Astros are from Texas, where it's more humid heat, and Los Angeles has a dry heat. And I mean, let's not say the dry heat is not hot. Like, an oven is still dry heat. So an oven still gets hot, right? Okay, so we all know where that's going. Um, the next thing we need to talk about is how quickly the Dodgers got off. Chris Taylor was the first on the first pitch, he jacked it over the left field, center field-ish wall for the first home run of the World Series and off the first pitch of a game. So he was ready. He was a co-MVP with Justin Turner, who also hit another home run, and that's how the Dodgers won the game with Chris Taylor on first off the first walk of the night from Dallas Keuchel, and then Justin Turner going in and hitting a home run. And not to say I noticed, but there was an ESPN baseball analyst that noticed Justin Turner struck out twice, and on his third at bat, he decided to change his bat. And that bat he changed from a heavier bat to a lighter bat, because what they were doing with Justin is they were pitching him inside, and he realized that, and he couldn't get the barrel of the bat on the inside of those pitches quick enough to get a good hit. He switched his bat, took 2, 3 pitches, and then jacked one just like Chris Turner. Clayton Kershaw, what can I say? Like, if I was comparing Clayton Kershaw to anything, it's like a yacht. Yeah, sailboat's good, and that's probably what, like, more of Rich Hill is. He's one of those great sailboats. You have to take care of him. You have to help him out through the game. Clayton Kershaw is a yacht, a super yacht, a, one of the best you could get. But the thing with a yacht is you have to take care of it. You have to water it. You You have to put gas in it. You have to have everybody on board. But once you get that yacht out, whoo, it looks like one of the best things on the ocean. So he just pitched an amazing game. He went 7 innings, struck out 11, and no other Dodger pitcher has struck out more than 10 people besides the great Sandy Koufax. And I'm not comparing Kershaw to Koufax. Other people can do that. That's not for me to decide. But he did have a great game. He only threw 83 pitches, which is not that much. And he gave strikes to 17, first pitch strikes, 17 of the 24 batters that he faced. And he only allowed 3 hits in the 7 innings, which just gives the Dodgers what they needed to win a 3-1 game in Los Angeles. Game 2 is tonight. Rich Hill's going up against Justin Verlander, and Verlander's been as hot as anyone in the league right now ever since he's got to Houston. Verlander's pitching great. We'll see how they do. I think, personally, the Dodgers are going to take it because the bats are going to be hot and maybe even hotter than they were last night. But once again, you don't really know in baseball. You have to just wait to see who is hot. And right now the Dodgers are hot and Astros are not. Correa's having a hard time. Jose Altuve's having a hard time hitting. So we'll see how it goes. The only one to actually take Kershaw deep in the only run of their game was Alex Bregman, and that was a fastball in where it's his hot zone. But Kershaw was trying to pitch to him to say, hey, I'm not as scared of your hot zone, so this is what's going to happen. All right. So that's just my little overview of what happened last night and with the Dodgers and the Astros. It's going to be another great game tonight. First pitch starts at 5:10 Pacific time, so we'll see how that goes. And now we're going back into the NBA. And who I want to talk about right now is Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball has been really good. He's one of the most hyped players in the league, and he's one of the most hyped players in the league because of his dad. I mean, honestly, I can relate to this because I have parents that are very supportive, and I mean, one of the only people probably listening to this podcast, if not me, is my mother. And my mother is one of the mommest moms you'll ever meet. Whenever you can go to a game, everyone's like, oh, you can hear your parents in the stand. Well, everyone can hear my mother in the stands, even on broadcasts from halfway across the world. She always was screaming, yelling, and she was very supportive of me. And that's what Lavar Ball is being to Lonzo. But Lavar's a little bit more aggressive, we'll just say, with his criticism. And the difference between my mom and Lavar Ball is Lavar Ball has a small city following him on social media. He has his own Facebook TV show, Ball in the Family, I think it is. So that really sets Lonzo up for all these crazy matchups. And I remember Kenny Smith talking about this during the NBA on TNT, and he was talking about how Alonzo Mourning, when he used to play with him, used to say, hey, Kenny, I only have to have 4 hard games a year. You have to have a hard game every single night. And what he's implying is that the center position's a little bit more sparse, or the center position is not as well, there's not as much depth in the center position as there is in the point guard position. And that's simply because there's not as many big people in the world as there are average sized people. And I'm saying average as in 6'4". That's an average point guard, still short point guard in the league. So LeVar Ball was saying after the Los Angeles Lakers lost to the New Orleans Pelicans, that he doesn't think Lonzo is going to lose twice in 1 week. A reporter caught him saying this after leaving New Orleans. And then Marcin Gortat, who is with the Wizards right now, said John Wall is going to torture him for 48 minutes. Lonzo's already a big enough name that he doesn't need his dad to build him up anymore, as it were. He's a great player. He always has. Well, he was a great player from high school. He did good in UCLA. Didn't have the best tournament, an NCAA tournament, that is, because De'Aaron Fox tortured him like all other players are going to do. And what these players are doing now is when they see Lonzo Ball coming to town or they're going to Lakers to play Lonzo Ball, they are going to be dialed in and in the zone every single time because his dad has just built him up to be this great player. Lonzo doesn't say much at all, but his dad speaks more than enough for everyone involved. And John Wall said you get up for these types of games. You get up for players that you want to play like Steph Curry. So right then and there, John Wall is comparing Lonzo Ball to Steph Curry, not in the sense of the way they play, but in the sense of the way other players are going to play against him. That's going to be hard for Lonzo all year. He's only 19. He's still growing basketball wise into what he can be. Right now he's averaging 13, 9, and 9, but one of those games was against the Phoenix Suns, who just fired their coach. Eric Bledsoe was never really into the team, and now he might get traded. So I don't know if we can count those 13, 9, and 9 towards Lonzo being great or Lonzo having 2 games that were pretty good, pretty bad actually, and then one game that was pretty good. I mean, they beat the Phoenix Suns, and Devin Booker and Eric Bledsoe are very solid guards. I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying the team kind of is a mess as a whole, so we can't really judge what the Phoenix Suns are going to be as a worthy opponent, in my opinion. And that is going to make Lonzo that much better, which I like. So Lonzo's going to be tested by all these point guards. His whole first year, his whole second year, I think after the second year, he'll get his credit where credit is due because he's going to finally put his place in the league. They're going to realize it's not just Lonzo anymore. And by that time, who knows, LaMelo might be in the league too. So they might be going after LaMelo as an introduction. It's like saying, hey, rookie, this is what the NBA really is about. And LaMelo, as Lavar said earlier this year, is going to be getting homeschooled for the rest of his high school career as opposed to going to Chino Hills, which is in LA. And that's going to be a very difficult task for both those Ball brothers. But in the end, I think it's going to make them stronger. I think it's going to make them better. And I think Lonzo will come out of this as a very good point guard. I still have faith that he's going to be a great player. I don't know if he's going to be Magic Johnson good, Jason Kidd good, all those, I guess, comparisons are not really. I think they're not fair because Lonzo is his own player, and you got to let him do his own thing and see where he can be as a person. So we'll get into that. The next thing we're going to get into is LaPointe guard James. LaPointe dropped 33 on people as playing point guard because right now they took out Dwayne Wade from the starting lineup, replaced him with J.R. Smith, and they put Dwayne Wade into the backup role. The Cleveland Cavaliers really don't have a true point guard right now. I mean, they have Isaiah Thomas, but I'm saying right now because he's not playing because he's injured with that hip. So LeBron is playing point, and good gosh, he is playing really, really good. LeBron is just having a great game. Like I said, he had 34 points as he started the game against the Chicago Bulls. I mean, the Chicago Bulls aren't great this year, but once that the injury happened to the Celtics, I don't want to get into that because I don't like talking about injuries. It happens to everyone. It's a sad thing. But now that the Celtics, that happened to them, honestly, who thinks someone's going to challenge the the Cavaliers in the East, I think they're going to steamroll everyone. They don't even need to worry too much about winning all the games in the world. Yes, they want to be a 1, 2, or 3 seed, but even if they were a 4 seed in the East, I think they could be an 8 seed in the East and still easily come out of the East and go to the NBA Finals now because they're just that good. And personally, LeBron James is just a basketball savant. He's amazing. He knows how to play all the positions and he knows what he wants. So, what the Cavaliers are really doing behind the scenes is they're just trying to figure out which lineups gel for these playoff matchups because there's only one team in the crosshairs of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's the team that they've played 3 times in a row in the finals already. Winning one, the Cavaliers, that is, and the Warriors winning 2. They built this team to beat the Warriors. Will they be able to beat them? I personally don't think so because, yes, they might have got more offensive firepower bringing in Dwayne Wade and bringing in IT, but how's their defense going to look? Like, IT and Steph Curry, IT plays defense like he tries to. Isaiah Thomas, that is. He tries to play defense, and so does Steph. But if we're going to say they're a wash defensively, Steph is easily better on offense. He's a mobile, like, just army. He can take you out from the inside with those crazy layups that he does. Like, that are still miraculous to me that he puts all this English on the ball and it goes in these crazy layup situations. Or he could just shoot with that quick release that just takes people by surprise. And he shoots 2 or 3 feet behind the line. It's nearly impossible to guard someone like that. So I don't think IT is going to be able to stop him. J.R. Smith doesn't play any defense. Dwayne Wade's a little too old to play defense the way he should. And I don't know if they're going to be able to take out the Warriors going into the playoffs or into the finals. I do think they're both going to meet in the finals this year. Houston is still a project. Chris Paul's not fitting in. He's not working like he should. Chris Paul surveys the court, whereas James Harden either shoots or goes. Chris Paul likes the ball to be in his hand. He likes to figure the plays out. He's very methodical with the way he works, whereas James Harden's like, oh, I got a shot, I'm shooting. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going. And that's just how that Houston Rocket team is set up, and that's how they've always been set up. And Chris Paul has to understand it's not his team now. It is James Harden's team, so whatever he wants to do, Chris Paul kind of has to cater to what he wants to do. It's not that James Harden came to the Clippers. It's that Chris Paul left the Clippers for the Rockets. So he's going to have to change his game. I don't think he's a great spot-up shooter. I mean, he's a good shooter, but I don't think he's going to be the great player that he was in LA for the Clippers. And we'll see how that goes. I trust the Timberwolves a little bit more, and the Spurs are always well coached. They have Popovich. We'll see how they can do. Kawhi Leonard's really good. I don't trust him on offense that much. His offensive game is very robotic. He shoots, he passes. He shoots and dribbles. He's not the best passer in the world. His record for assist is still 8. 8 in one game. He has never got double digits assist in one game. So how is he going to be able to change that? He's just not the most natural of offensive players. I think he's the best maybe two-way player right now, but that's because his defense is so much far and away better than everyone else that he has to be the best two-way player, and you have to consider him as such. So we'll see how that NBA season shakes out. It's still early. I think the Warriors and the Cavaliers are taking it a little easy. They call it the finals hangover. And once again, the Cavaliers do not need to try and take it too hard. They do not need to worry about what's going on right now. They just need to gel, see where their players are playing. They have Kevin Love playing center right now. So we'll see how everything works out for them in the end. But we should also understand that they are just going to cruise through the Eastern Conference and figure it out. And now to the NBA as a whole. Did you see what they're doing this year for the All-Star game? They decided to change the All-Star format from the Western Conference and Eastern Conference to instead having just players picked by the fans by NBA voting, and then they're going to have two team captains who pick from that pool of players, and that's going to be how the All-Star game is ran. What I think this is conspiracy theory time. I think this is slowly a way for the NBA to move all away from the Western and Eastern Conference in general. The Western Conference is by far the better conference. I think there might be 3 or 4 teams that would make it if it went to what I think it should go to, and I think what it should go to is 1 through 16. That's it. 1 plays number 16, 2 plays number 15, and so on and so on. I think the playoffs would be much better served that way. I think the fans would be much better served that way. And it would just make the better teams be able to get in the playoffs as opposed to maybe having a 9 or 10 seed in the West just getting scratched off when they easily could be better than some of the 5 or 6 teams, 5 or 6th seed in the East. So I think what the NBA is trying to slowly do, and I'm talking about slow like a snail, just creep ever so long. A snail gets where it needs to go, but it gets there slowly. So I think they're gonna ever so slowly creep along with these little quirks from like this, no Eastern Western in the All-Star game, and then they're gonna finally go to a 1 to 16 team in the whole NBA playoffs, which I believe will be much better for everyone served, and I hope that it happens in the future. Mark my words, it's going to happen, and it should happen. And to finish us off, we're going to go with the NFL teams. NFL has been a little hard to watch this year. It's been a little shoddy, we'll say, and I think that comes all down to quarterback play. When the quarterbacks are good in the NFL, it's more fun to watch. But I don't remember the last time this many quarterbacks were hurt. Aaron Rodgers has gone down. Matt Ryan's not looking good, but that's because he lost his offensive coordinator. Carson Palmer went down last week. Once again, not the best player, but not looking good. Joe Flacco, he's been non-existent this year. Nowhere to be found. Dak Prescott, I never thought he was the greatest player. I think he has a great line, and he gave him a lot of time. He has a great running back, too, in Ezekiel Elliott, so that also helps him out a lot. But there is one player that I think we all know who's starting to come along, and that is Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz from North Dakota, and I might be a homer here because my dad's from North Dakota, but he is amazing. Did you see the way he got out of that play on Monday night? He was in the pocket. He went down. It looked like he was like hiding in a little hole, and then he came out, and then he just got the first down for him. He's playing so good. And I remember I think it was John Gruden on the broadcast said, not Carson Wentz isn't strong. He's North Dakota strong. And you wouldn't understand that if you weren't from or if you haven't been to North Dakota, but it is hard living out there. The weather is not your friend sometimes, and it's not the best place, but he is a man. He just keeps playing, keeps getting better. He's improving. He's only a second-year quarterback, and he looks like he might be the MVP. He's leading the league in touchdowns. But to say that Carson Wentz is that good only shows the disparity in quarterbacks this year. The normal players that are good have not been there. Jameis Winston, I personally thought was going to have a breakout year. Doesn't look that way. I already talked about Cam Newton on Monday. He is not the savior for anybody. He's a good guy, great athlete, but he's not disciplined in his craft, and he hasn't been disciplined in his craft ever since he's come out. He had a great MVP year, but most of that year he was running it in. as opposed to throwing it, and he wants to become more of a pocket quarterback, but he's not putting the work in to become a pocket quarterback. I've never, I don't know, I don't remember the last time I saw a triple option in the NFL, and that's what they were running last week. They were running a triple option to in the NFL with Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey doing a dive fullback move, and then they lost the ball on the triple option, but that can't be done. So there's just not many good quarterbacks right now, and that's why the NFL is so hard to watch. I think it's going to get better. I think what's going to happen is some of the offenses will start gelling. It's more of a cerebral thing offense, whereas defense is more of a gritty thing. You got to understand all the intricacies of the routes, the route trees, each way it's going. So the offenses will get better, but right now, NFL is a hard product to watch, and that's why I'm so excited for the NBA season to be here. I'm so excited for the MLB playoff or World Series right now. I mean, once again, I might be a homer because I love that the Dodgers are up 1-0, but we shall see, and we can see what's going to happen in the future. I hope you guys all have a great week. I'm out for now. Have a good one.